touchdown, Tampa Bay. You're listening to the PewterCast.
Welcome to the PewterCast Live. It is the final PewterCast Live of the 2020 regular season, but that does not mean that this is the final PewterCast Live of the 2020 season, because, oh no, folks, our beloved Tampa Bay Buccaneers are playoff bound for the 5th seed. But tonight we're here to talk about this Atlanta Falcons, Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. I am Brent Allen, your host. Joining me, as always, my good friend, my co-host, my cohort, Ren Daxt. Ren.
Yo.
Welcome.
Thank you.
To the final PewterCast Live of the season.
Yes, thank you very much. Were you all prepared to yell at me this time?
No. Well, maybe.
No?
I don't know.
Okay.
It depends. Depends on how the mood strikes me. So.
Oh, so it's not about like a prediction that I made that might not have come true. So you're going to come on and yell at me. Yeah, the bloodbath thing. Because 5 weeks ago, somebody said that the Bucs are going to go 4-0 and get the 5th seed and broke it all down for everybody. Somebody did that. And even picked all the teams that were going to be in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No, good job.
Good job, and as did a lot of people. I mean, frankly, like, I think most of us saw a 4-0, or kind of going, maybe they go, they might lose one. If things go really weird, they might lose two, but they should have won all 4 of these games, and they did. And particularly against the Lions, where I really like what they said on the Pewter Report podcast. That was a game where the Bucs didn't just need to win. They needed to blow them out. And the Buccaneers did that. The Buccaneers went into Atlanta in that first game and should not have had that first half they had, but turned it around, kicked it up, showed that they could come back. And in this game, despite it getting within 3 points within that last quarter, the final tally is 44-27. Holy cow. The Buccaneers were in control of this game the whole way.
Yeah, the Falcons were, as a Bucs fan, you can sit there and go, oh, okay, this isn't exactly going the way I'd hoped it would. But the Falcons were scratching and crawling just to keep within like 10 points of the Bucs, like all game long.
Right.
They went for it on 4th down. Like a lot of times they wouldn't have if they were in the playoffs or in playoffs contention, but it doesn't really matter if we win or lose this game. Let's, we'll go for it on 4th and 4. Inside.
But that's the way the Falcons have been playing all year. They've shown that they can move the ball down the field and put points up on the board.
Yeah,
they're still a good team, right? They're
not a good team.
But the Falcons, like the Falcons are great, and Calvin Ridley, and even without Julio Jones, who's become a coach, and the Falcons. Ren, I felt like I spent the last 3.5 hours listening to somebody who's a huge fan of the Falcons.
Oh, really? I didn't notice that.
Oh my God. Oh, you didn't notice that? I did.
No. I thought he was trying to balance it out because he just didn't want to be Bucs the whole time.
Oh, really? Because I felt like he knew absolutely nothing about the Bucs except for what the producers wrote down on like his little sheet for him to read. And the only team he knew anything about was the Falcons.
Okay.
That's what it felt like to me.
All right. I thought that's what I thought. I thought he was just trying to balance it out. I really didn't notice that Jennings was Falcons the whole time. I think he was just trying to give the viewers hope. You know what I mean? It's like when you tune into a game, like college game, or like if a game turns into a blowout, you got to keep the viewers like, hey, don't turn off your TV or change the channel. There's like, stranger things have happened. So
right. Hey, real quick, we got a super chat in from Brian. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. It says the Bucs blew out the franchise record with only 1 touchdown scored by the defense. The defense last year had scored 6 touchdowns when the record was broken. This offense is insane. Is that true? Is this the only touchdown today that the Buccaneers defense has scored all season?
Did they score one today?
Yeah.
Which one?
Wasn't that didn't they pick up a fumble and return it back in?
Late? Like, I don't think I saw what was the
Yeah.
44th? Was that the fourth quarter one?
The 44 was wasn't that AB? That
Okay,
was
so
AB
no. Yeah, no. What's his face got called back? He was down.
Oh, okay.
Winfield Jr.
Okay. Well, even still, Brian, Brian
But yeah,
is not saying it was this particular game. Maybe he is, maybe he's not, but he didn't specifically say it here. But this offense is insane, and I do want to talk about that for just a sec, Brian, because you're right. I tweeted this out towards the end of the game. The Buccaneers have won 11 games this season. In no game this year where they've scored more than 24 points has this Buccaneers offense lost, or has the Buccaneers team lost. Right. They score more than 24. Ren, what do you always say? It's like a race to 27 or something like that. Like if the Buccaneers get there.
Back when Winston was our quarterback and Mike Smith was our defense coordinator, it was a race to 40. It
was a race to 40.
It's like whoever puts up 40, you got a really good chance of win. Don't even look like it's it's 4th and 12 from your own 35. Do you have 40 points yet? No, go for it.
Right. But with 20 points in 8 games this year, they have scored over 30 points. And obviously they've won all those. In 6 games, 6 out of their 11 wins this year, which is more than half for anybody who is struggling with math out there, they've scored over 35 points.
Yeah.
This has been, to Brian's point, this offense has been insane. And for an offense where we saw in a game put up only 3 points against against New Orleans, and in probably one of the most embarrassing games I've ever had as a fan.
Yeah.
Still, that game notwithstanding, this has been a stupid season for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And another super chat just to put a punctuation point on this from Kyle Driver. The drought is over. Kyle, thank you for that super chat as well. And
yeah, the Bucs, they scored the most points they've ever scored on offense, breaking the record they set last year under BA. Mm-hmm. And what Brian's point was that only one of those touchdowns was a defensive touchdown. So he's trying to give more credit to the offense. The Bucs are going to be average over 30 points a game,
right?
To end the season, which is also a franchise record, which I guess it has to be. If you set the franchise record in points, it's got to be a franchise record in points per game. So at halftime of this game, I went back and looked at the second half of the first Falcons game and the first half of the Detroit game and the first half of this Falcons game, and looked at what Brady did as far as just possessions. It was 18 possessions, 2 punts, 1 victory kneel down, and they'd scored every other drive.
Mm-hmm.
So 15 out of 18, that Brady's been at the helm, they put points up. But again, I said this 5 weeks ago, these are bad defenses, and the offense is going to look really good, and they're going to get right against these 4 teams, and they did. Mm-hmm. But you're also right, but they've done what they had to do. I know it was a little frustrating with watching this Atlanta, team sort of, nickel and dime their way down the field. That's the way Todd Bowles has decided to approach his defensive philosophy coming out of the bye week. Is he's not going to let anybody beat him over the top. He's going to take some of those resources that he's been putting into stopping the run, getting only 3 yards, or I should say, 2 yards. He's going to let him get 3.5, 4 yards, and not leave the back end hang out to dry. And the only way you're going to move the ball down the field on these guys is 6, 7 yards at a time.
Yeah.
And the Falcons didn't get a lot of holding penalties. The Bucs didn't get a lot of sacks. He was under a lot of pressure, but they really had a nice game plan of getting the ball out quickly. I don't think Atlanta made a lot of guys miss. It was just hard. They were executing, the short little passing game and slowly went down the field. But, I think if Shaq was there, and of course Devin White was there, and McClendon was there, that it might have been a little harder for the Falcons, and maybe a few more stops on that Buccaneers defense. But, all in all, like you said, or I guess I should say the announcer said, Greg Jennings, the Falcons, man, they can put up points, and they did.
Yeah. Real quick, I want to say hello to everybody who is joining us live, whether you're on YouTube or Periscope or Facebook, Twitter, the PewterCast.live, or maybe you're one of the many thousands who will join us later on the podcast feed. Hello to you from wherever you guys are watching from all over the world. hello to you guys out there. I do want to reference something real quick over in the chat room. One of the things, guys, we've had to deal with this year. Maybe this is the downside of the Brady effect a little bit, but we've had a lot of fans from other teams who have found their way into our chat room, or maybe it's just part of the growth of this show this year is more people jump in. I just want to remind everybody, listen, everybody's welcome, whether you're a Bucs fan or not a Bucs fan. Come in, you want to have conversation, you want to drive things forward, you have a differing point of view. All of that's cool. All of that's fine. Our only rule is don't be an asshole. And when you come into this show and you start calling out specific people and directly calling them trash, especially one of the two hosts, that immediately gets you blocked. You're not even in timeout. You're just going to get blocked. So XLCU Garvey, we will see you later or never again, because you don't come into our show and do that. You just don't.
What did he say?
He said something about not knowing what happened and you're podcasting about a team and Brent is trash was his exact words. So sorry. Yeah, that gets you blocked, especially when you're coming into my show to do that. So hello to everybody else. You guys are all welcome. Like I said, you're welcome to engage in conversation. You want to disagree with something that Ren and I or another user says, that's fine. But we're going to talk about ideas. We're not going to trash people like that. So that's not cool. And I want to say thank you to everybody else in the chat room who very quickly came to my defense, which is actually what drew my attention to it in the first place. So anyway, you guys are awesome. One person asked this, and I'll just address this real quick. Who was it? Somebody in the chat room said, why is Brent still podcasting? I think it was Mr. Hewitt, which I think is Brian in Memphis, I think is who that is. I could be wrong. I said I'm supposed to be enjoying my retirement. Yes, I am actually stepping out of the PewterCast. I will be leaving, but not till the end of the season. And because the Bucs are in the playoffs, the season's been extended. And I'll be around through the PewterCast Awards show, which, by the way, those nomination forms went out to the nominating committee this week, and super excited to get those in and get that rolling for this year. Anyway, all right, back to talking about this game. Sorry for all that timeout stuff. Back to talking about this game.
I didn't get a nomination.
It's coming. I haven't said. I haven't sent.
So they haven't gone out this week.
They have started going out. Let's put it that way.
I've thought about sending them.
No. Like they've gone out. We've got, for those of you out there wondering, every year we do. For those of you new, we do a PewterCast Awards show, and it's more than actually just Ren and I sitting down saying who we think is good. We actually open up and we let the Buccaneers fans vote. And last year, what was it, Ren? We had over, was it 22,000 or 36,000? I don't know. It's 20. I think it was 22 something, right?
2.1 million.
2.1 million votes were cast.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't quite that much.
Are you sure?
But we had, it was like 22,000, I think.
It was huge.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and check, but it was a lot of people anyway. But people actually vote, and winners of the different awards get they actually get something towards the end of the season. And I was going to say something about that. I don't remember. Oh, the way that works for people that are wondering, the way nominations are formed is we actually we don't, it's not just Ren and I. And we form like a little committee, and the committee changes every year except for Ren and I. And I appreciate that, Prime. He says that block was Tristan Wirfs worthy. Thank you. It consists of 2 members of the credentialed media, 2 members of non-credentialed media, so podcast, YouTubers, different things like that, and then 2 what we'll call trustworthy fans, and then Ren and I. So it's a committee of 8 that will nominate, and we'll put that out for everybody else to vote. Anyway. All of that said, thank you, Prime, for that super chat, and I appreciate the note that block was Tristan Wirfs worthy. Oh my God! Speaking of blocks, did you see the block Ali Marpet put on, or tackle? It might have even just been a full-on tackle.
There you go.
On somebody on the Falcons team. I don't even remember who it was. Ali comes streaking from off the camera like he had an orange cape on, and bulldozes this guy right in the middle of the screen. Oh, it was amazing. It was awesome. And I said to my kid when we were watching that point, I was like, that's why he's my favorite player on this team right there. He was awesome.
Yeah, it was, little guy runs into big guy going forward wins. It was a pancake tackle, I guess you could say, off Brady's interception. That wasn't an interception.
That wasn't a pancake. That's a crepe. That's what we would call a crepe.
All right.
A really flat pancake.
So
Anyway,
what did you think of the game, Brent?
it was. I was
all
good.
right.
No. It was good for most of the game. The game was in hand, but they come back out in the second half, and it didn't seem like they could tackle anybody in the second half, and things just sort of seemed to sputter. It never got out of control for the Bucs. I mean, the Bucs never. They didn't punt once in this entire game.
Right.
So it's not like it was bad in the second half. It just wasn't as sharp as we had seen in the first half. They didn't shut them down. And when they came to within 3, I think we were all kind of going, uh-oh. Now, this wasn't the same kind of uh-oh that I had like last season or the season before. Like I was still like, they could still hang on here. They're just giving up their margin. And then when they came out and they scored those final 2 touchdowns in the last, I don't know, what was it, 4 minutes or something like that?
Yeah.
6 minutes. You're just like, that's the ball game. That's how you win. That's what happens here. So
yeah, it was, with the new philosophy, it seems to be the Todd Bowles defense, and be able to pick your way down the field. That's exactly what Atlanta did. I mean, the Bucs only had the ball one time in the whole third quarter. So they're up by, I don't know how many at halftime. Atlanta comes out, scores a touchdown, comes out, and then I think they kicked the field goal the first time. No, they scored a touchdown. And then they came back, and then I think they ended up kicking a field goal. But all of a sudden now it's like a 3-point game, and it's like, uh-oh. But the Bucs were moving, throws a pass to Scotty Miller. Not the best pass. Maybe should have caught it, maybe didn't. But I got a lucky bad break. He has it in his the inseam of his arm, and it bounces in the air and falls into a Falcons guy. That was the only time they had the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like you said, there was no punts. Next time they got the ball, it went down, scored a touchdown, and the game would have been over at halftime if the Bucs would have been a little more aggressive in the first half, because they had the ball 5 times, 3 field goals, 2 touchdowns. So it's like it was weird because they hadn't stopped the Bucs yet, but we're only up by 10, and it was kind of like, like a little bit in the back of your mind, like I feel like we should be up more than this. But again, at the end of the day, you just got to wait. Got to play all 4 quarters, and then end up 44. And the Falcons did some things that the Falcons do, and plus they got some lucky breaks. Besides like going for it on 4th down on times they normally wouldn't if this was a regular season game, or had some sort of playoff implications. They had some fumbles that bounced right back to them.
Right.
So like I said at the beginning, there at the beginning of the 4th quarter, you're kind of like, man, like I feel like we should be more in control of this game. But it was more of like the Falcons, like just scratching and clawing just to stay within 10 points of the Buccaneers.
Mm-hmm.
And, it just matter of time. The pipe's going to burst, man. Just
right.
Just wait. And it finally did. So,
yeah, this was a game that might actually show the difference between you and me, because there's a part of me that feels like you're going to sit here and go, yeah, I didn't give a crap about that. I found myself caring and being more concerned about things that the game really didn't have anything to do with than the game itself. Like, that's how comfortable I was throughout the course of this game. I was more concerned about Mike Evans' record. I was more concerned about what we're going to do without Mike Evans about the injury to Mike Evans and what's going to happen. I was more concerned about Rojo not getting his 1,000 yards on the season than I was about what was actually happening in the game at some points, because that's how like comfortable I was in this game. Real quick for that, Craig, thank you so much, man. Craig has been a long time listener of the show, a long time friend. Every time we say as well too, that is a nod to him.
It is.
Craig in Vegas, and Craig, I tell you, it has perforated into every single other podcast that I've ever done in my life, brother. And it's a nod to you that nobody else really knows unless you listen to this show. And he says in the super chat, he says, "Thanks, Brent, for your great work. You will be missed. Send Brent off with a Super Bowl win." I'll take it. How many games is that? Is that 4 more games? I'll do 4 more of these for sure with no problem. We go all the way.
You got it in you?
I do. Oh yeah. Although I got to say, the kid was like, "I don't want you to have a podcast tonight." And I was like, "Buddy, this is why." But anyway,
I don't want you to have an opinion. Sorry. I like that.
You're 8. Shut
Yeah,
up.
exactly.
I get that.
Do you have a job? No? Okay.
You're exactly. Are you bringing in anything? Well, anyway, with
Do you do
that,
anything besides eat? You're nothing but a bill at this point.
Exactly. And play Switch or Legos. Ren, why don't we go ahead and at least open up the phone line for anybody who wants to call in, open up the chat room, because this isn't just about you and I getting in here to talk. This is about us getting to connect with and celebrate with our fellow Buccaneer fans. That number is 864-729-BUCS. It's 864-729-2827 for anybody who wants to call in. And over in the chat room, I am dropping the link for anybody who wants to join us here live on the video chat as well too. There we go. All right, that's getting out there. Now with that, while we wait for our first caller so patiently, let's talk about Mike Evans for a little bit.
Sure.
A lot of people in the chat room are asking, do we have any, does anybody know anything about Mike?
For sure. I don't want to hear any rumors or conjectures. I need cold hard facts.
Right.
Who was in the hospital in the MRI room with Mike when the game was going on? Who was there? Are you in chat? Drop some knowledge. But some things have leaked, right?
Well, not just leaked. They asked BA in the press conference about Mike, and BA's his exact words, I just read them to you before we went live, was basically, I think he said, knock on wood, it doesn't seem as bad as we thought. We'll find out more in the next 24 hours. So we've seen this go both ways. We've seen it get to 24 hours and like, yeah, he's fine. It was just a stretch or just a strain and he'll be fine for the game. Or it's been, nope, actually it was worse than we initially thought, and we're going to shut him down for the rest of the year. We've seen it go both ways in different people, but hopefully it is the former and not the later. It does well, but none of that happened until Mike got his 1,000 yards.
Right. The very next play.
It was almost poetic. Like in my head, he hit that 1,000 yards and I went,
get him out.
Get him out. Right.
Get him out.
Something happens and then something happens.
Mike Evans touchdown. No, he drops it. Oh my God. And like everyone's seeing him hold his knee. The announcers are like, I guess he was thinking about the 1,000 yards and wasn't. Oh, wait, he's down. We're like, we know.
Yeah. Like, then he tries to get back up again and he goes, nope. And he sits back down.
Yeah, that was scary.
Second time.
Yeah.
Says, nope, really, nope.
It kept giving out. Like, he couldn't put any weight on it. It's like it wasn't even there. It was like, blah.
Yeah.
It was like, no. So, but he made it 1,000 yards, 7 straight years, starts season in the record books, historic. It's going to take someone, and we don't even know when when that streak's going to end. But as of right now, it's going to take someone to have 8 great years. And we've sort of seen,
years from their rookie year.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. But we've seen sort of like these receivers have like I think Michael Thomas had a great shot at it. Oh, hurt his ankle week 1, missed all the year, got suspended for a game internally, came out for 1 or 2 more games, and they put him on IR. Like, it's nothing he did, So right. Not only do you have to have a quarterback who's going to throw you the ball, not only do you have to be good enough to get open. If you're on a crappy team, you're going to get a lot of double teams, but it's the health is the real sort of, the tricky part in this thing. So, but
Mike's had a lot of hamstring injuries over the years.
Yeah. Yeah,
he's not been the Iron Man like Donovan Smith has been.
He's got 1,000 yards twice on his last catch of the season.
That's right. Because didn't they do that? Like, wasn't it against that win against New Orleans a couple years ago?
I don't remember who it was, but I remember his last catch like put him like 1,000, like 13 or 1,000. Yeah, it was
right over the number.
Yeah. And it was like game over. It was like,
right. But that was that mirror because Jameis was like forcing it to him.
Yeah.
Like, no, Mike, you're going to get this record this year. I get that.
Yeah.
I get that real quick from Mr. Hewitt. We're going to take a person waiting in the chat room. Mr. Hewitt, Brian in Memphis. I think this is Brian in Memphis. I could be wrong, but he says, same here, Brent. Thanks for your contribution and outlet for callers way back in the Jameis days. Take care of the family. Ren, it's on you next season.
It is.
Thank you for that super chat, Mr. Hewitt. We appreciate that. Hey, let's bring in somebody into the chat here, Ren. What do you say?
Quite a queue stacking up.
We do. But I want to go to probably somebody who gets the MVP from the last episode where I was. This would be my first time talking to this guy from
really?
Serbia, Marco. Welcome to the show, Marco.
Hello, Brent. Hello, Ren.
I'm so glad to get to talk to you because I heard your thing from last episode and I went, oh, I wish I could have been there for that conversation because it was so good, man. I'm glad you chimed back in.
Okay, thank you for letting me in again. And yeah, I want to confirm, yes, the last game, last time Mike had 1,000 yards was a game against New Orleans. And it was 30 seconds before the end. He caught the ball and went into the sidelines. He went into out, and that was basically like the last throw of the game or something like that. Right. Just got over 1,000 yards. I remember that catch very well. So regarding this time, I only have two things. One you already answered about Mike Evans. I read already that it's not a tear. It's not ACL, MCL, or something like that. It's a sprain that might be he might even be ready for the next week. But it's unofficial, so let's not go into it because we don't know what it is. And the only thing that I want to add about this game, and I believe Brent will agree with me, and hopefully Ren also, we see the difference when Ronald Jones is running against Fournette is running. I think it's obvious. I know Fournette is better for pass game, and he's better blocker and everything. But Rojo is like taking 6 or 7 yards every run. It's ridiculous how good this guy is running.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Ren. You're ready to fire off. Go ahead.
Yeah, this was one of the best games, at least run per run, for Ronald Jones in his whole entire career. Like, he was finding. He is not Rojo to me. He is Ronald. He's Crease Jones is his name. Because he was finding those creases in between the tackles, really in between the guards, man. Like, he was hitting the hole, he was hitting it hard and fast, which is fine, but if you hit a brick wall, okay, well, yeah, yard and a half, 2 yards, but he kept finding those little creases, getting in there, making the right cut, and where, there was 7 people within a radius of 2 square yards around him, and he was still finding that little hole and squeezing through. And I thought, if he would have started the game, or they would have just kept feeding him, I understand it's the Falcons. Like I know they're not great against the run, but they're even worse against the pass. So like you're here to win, throw the ball. Like that was the role. And I didn't care so much about getting Ronald Jones the 1,000 yards because it wasn't historic. Everybody gets 1,000 yards. You only got to average 66 yards. He was hurt for a while. He'll be back next year. All those type of things. So, I didn't feel bad about that, but man, did he look sharp. And to be honest, like, Leonard Fournette is the best he's looked this year, the past 2 games. He's missed some guys. He's made some guys miss in the open field. He's turned his jets on. He got around the corner today. When's the last time he ever did that? And you know what he also did? When he hit somebody, he didn't go backwards. He was actually like getting that extra half yard, extra yard, instead of like he would see the person start, doing his patty cake with his feet, and then they'd collide and the person would push him back. And it's like, dude, you're like 225. Like, come on, man. So, but it really is night and day for Ronald Jones. And I think, this sort of rotation thing is really going to be 70-30 Jones in the playoffs, especially, I think we're going to end up playing Washington. It doesn't matter if I don't know who won the Giants game. So it's going to be outdoors cold. So like the running game might be a big part of this, of the game plan, coming up for this playoff game. So, no one's resurrected a career like Ronald Jones. Like maybe Chris Mullins in the NBA, but like Ronald Jones was awful. I mean, I could have got the yards he got. He had what was it, like 40?
He had 28 yards his rookie season.
Well, but how many carries? It was like 2. No. It was something like he was barely over a yard. It was like 36 carries for 44 yards. like was his rookie year. It was so bad. So yeah, I'm with you, Marco, man. I'm glad Fournette's here. All this depth that we kind of like were complaining about, it really showed up today, especially with Mike going down, Antonio Brown being Antonio Brown, getting Antonio Brown in space. Hey, that's why he's, considered a Hall of Fame wide receiver there, man. Like, he got a lot of hidden yards. But yeah, Rojo all the way for me.
But yeah, it was. I need to eat my words from last week. We do need Antonio Brown right now.
Yeah.
So, that's for sure. Yeah. There was one run about Rojo I wish to mention. It he basically hit the wall, like after 1 yard, turn it around offensive line and got like 6 or 7 yards. It was run in fourth quarter, so basically it's not like he's putting his head down. He's looking where he could run. So I'm really impressed with his season. He was pretty disappointed in his rookie season, and even his second season wasn't great. And only one more thing regarding blocks, and I will leave for others to call you. The best block I saw today wasn't from Ali Marpet. The best block I saw today was on screen pass on Antonio Brown when Chris Godwin basically blocked not one but two corners. He first blocked the corner that should have catch Antonio Brown. Then he turned around and blocked his corner, so Antonio Brown go all the way 10 or 12 yards, something like that. It was, you're looking wide receiver blocking like that. You understand why Arians love him so much.
Yeah, I can't, sorry, Brent, but real quick, like Chris, like I would never say a bad word about Chris Godwin.
Yeah. Right.
There's nothing wrong with this football game. There's nothing wrong with him as a person. Yeah. Well, his beard's ugly. There you go.
Absolutely. Although I wouldn't have him number one as the Buccaneers prospect as you have, I would still have Mike Evans as number one. Even though he's 27th right now, he still have good 5-6 seasons for in front of him, hopefully.
Mike, you're talking about Mike? Yeah, if Mike stays healthy, he could certainly have that.
Yeah.
But Godwin, sky's the limit for Godwin. And, spoiler alert, Godwin's going to get my sword for today because he was lights out today. Godwin was as dependable as the day is long, no matter what else was going on in the game. And, he's absolutely right. Marco, I'm going to let you go. Because we've got a lot of other people lining up here, so I want to make sure we get to them. But man, thanks so much for chiming in.
Thanks, Marco.
Serbia.
Thank you for letting me in, and see you guys after playoffs. Hopefully, after winning playoffs.
Fair enough. We'll talk to you later, Marco.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. I think it's probably like midnight or something over there, so it's not too terribly late.
I never asked him.
Let's go to Big Fudge. Big Fudge is waiting in the chat room over here. Big Fudge.
Yes, thank you to everyone for waiting in the chat. Marco, Brent was so excited. Marco jumped the line a bit, but thank you for waiting.
That's okay. It was long distance for him, so it's okay. It's all right.
What's up, Fudge?
How you guys doing? It's been a minute. I've been busy. I'm sorry, but I have been listening, you guys. Brent, hate to see you go, man. It's breaking my heart, but family first. I know.
And I appreciate that. I really do. And, hopefully Ren will be nice enough to maybe invite me back every once in a while. We'll see what happens. At least give me a nice, good long offseason. Daniel says the same thing in a super chat. Sorry to interrupt your thing here.
No, you good.
As sad as I am about Brent's retirement, I'm ecstatic to be sharing the playoff experience with you guys after suffering together for so long.
Yeah.
Amen and amen. So say we all. What's up, Big Fudge?
Good. Hopefully Ren doesn't become a tyrant and not let me into the chats and stuff, but
kickbacks help.
Oh, great! I'll keep that in mind. Then I'll Venmo you some cash. But today was a good game, even though it got a little close there. Much like always, it's not Jameis, so I didn't panic. Like I felt that, like you said, the floodgates would open in the fourth quarter, and Tom Brady and the offense would just start pouring it on. The defense was zone covering all day, which got me irritated, but they didn't let them get anything over the top. It was all nickel and dime. They got some touchdowns in there, but yeah, offense fourth quarter they pretty much just turned on the boosters and let it rip. I love it. It was great.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, man. And I'm torn, but I'm not. Like, I like the decision with not necessarily playing the soft zone, but playing the cover, playing the cover too deep. Not really the Tampa 2, but they're playing a lot of mesh zone and man-to-man underneath as well, which I like. And they're, like I said, they're not, hanging all these corners out to dry, especially without Carlton Davis being there. Those guys just need a little bit of extra help. I like the more balanced because like you can rush for 120 yards in the NFL and not really be in a game. It's just not the way it used to be. It's just not. There's no such thing as dominant defenses in the NFL anymore. Like you have a defense go on a 4-week, like, oh, look how good they're playing the past 4 weeks. And then you look at who they play.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it was against the Eagles. They played the Giants, they played the Jets, and they played Arizona or something. And it's like, okay, they've really turned it around. And then the Chiefs and the Packers come to town and they get blown out. It's like, oh, what happened? Well, you know what happened. Like, you can't play defense in this league. But this offense is just clicking. And if it's a week-to-week league, but it's real. But you can't. I don't think you can feel. There's no scenario in these last 4 games besides Mike Evans, obviously, and the COVID cases. The way they're playing on the field offensively, I don't think 4 weeks out during that bye week you could look and go, "There's any other better outcome for you as a fan to feel rolling into the playoffs the way this team is offensively right now."
It's nice that they're streaking into the playoffs, and that's always what teams want to do. You don't want to back in; you want to streak into the playoffs. Good game.
Big fudge with that. What? Because I want to talk about that because I've encountered a lot of that this week.
Really?
You talking about? Listen, we're rolling into the playoffs on a 4-game win streak, and I'm seeing this from a lot of Bucs fans, and mostly from a lot of non-Bucs fans. But I see it from a lot of Bucs fans too. You get the but. Yeah, but who have you played? But
you play professional athletes is who you played.
Falcons and Lions. But look, say it again, Big Foot. I just talked over top of you. Say it again.
You still play professional athletes. Like Ren says, these guys get a paycheck too.
Exactly. And look, I don't care who you're playing, right? To come on a 4-game win streak, I don't care who it's against.
Yeah.
It only bodes good things for your team and puts the team in a spot to go, you know what, we can do that. To where when they go in and they face a more difficult team, it can only help.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And look, I don't know what's gonna, and none of us really know what's gonna happen. But I got to tell you what, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now are firing on all cylinders.
Yeah.
And this is the team that we thought that we would see at the beginning of the season, and now they get a chance to prove it on the biggest stage when it all really counts. Like it's all counted for this whole season. But now it really counts.
It's a new season now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you don't win, you go home.
Yeah,
this is it.
This is double secret probation.
Interesting. You had to say probation, but all right.
Oh, it's from Animal House, the movie.
I never seen that, man. I'm sorry, I'm not cultured like you.
I was gonna say the references Ren pulls out on the show is phenomenal.
I like to be obtuse because the few people that do get it, which is I understand, like less than 1%.
Yeah,
like those are those are my people.
Those are your people. Got it. One more thing I want to say before you get somebody else. Godwin's hands is like magnets to a football. Like,
yeah,
Godwin has been underrated for a while. Like his hands, Larry Fitzgerald level. Like he very rarely misses a target that comes his way, if it's catchable. And I always like that about him. Even with his chest catches, it's always been great.
Yeah,
he came up big today.
I agree. He is. He is. I don't know if he is target number 1 in the offseason to re-sign, but he
I hope so.
He's number 2, and he should be. And he really, really should be. So Big Fudge, you got anything else before I get you out of here? Because I got him lining up here and on the phone as well.
Nah, I just want to say, man, I love you guys. I've been listening for years, just calling in this year. And I called in once last year, but Brent, I'm gonna miss you so much. So the show will still be lovely, I'm sure, as long as Brent doesn't go overboard with his abuse of power. It'd be great.
Never can tell.
Always a possibility. It's the risk we take.
Yeah.
Well, you guys have a good one and go Bucs.
Go Bucs.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you so much. Ren, we got a caller.
The restraint is going to be something. Like it's going to be a struggle for me.
It's going to be must watch TV, must listen podcasting just to see what Ren's going to do from week to week.
It's true.
Where it's go because what people don't know has been edited out over the years.
Also true.
I'm not gonna do it anymore. We got a caller, phone caller, whoever you are. Welcome to the PewterCast Live. Who do we got here tonight?
Hey guys, Scott from Miami. How's it going?
What's going on, Scott?
Good, Scott. Thanks for calling.
Hey guys, I want to start off by also saying, Brent, thank you for everything you've done, brought this podcast to us. I'm a guy who grew up in St. Petersburg, moved down to Miami for college in 2001, and was looking forever for a place to talk Buccaneers football. I found you guys, and I'm glad to be able to call in and appreciate what you guys do.
Man, thanks.
So
That's exactly why this podcast exists, is to connect with other fans. You said you're in Miami. I was an out-of-market fan, just looking to connect with other fans because there were none where I was. And that's exactly why we exist. And it's why I love the show has become what it is, you know?
I do it to hide from my significant other.
I wanted to call just to say, man, how good is Chris Godwin?
Oh, my
man,
gosh.
that guy. I mean, like, I was so – first of all, I'd like to actually go back to last week and into this week. I think it speaks volumes for BA and the coaching staff that they actually they cared about Mike's record.
Right.
They went to him. They didn't need to. I think that speaks volumes because they clinched, but there was more to play for. Obviously, seeding was huge here. But, Mike has been, the consummate professional this whole time. He actually had one of his best seasons with all the touchdowns. Mm-hmm. And your heart goes out for him that he got an injury. Hopefully it's not that bad. But I think the coach, I have to give props to not just him, but also to the coaching staff and to Brady for getting him that record. It means a lot to Bucs fans in general.
Hey, Scott, you're absolutely right. This record, while we would all say if Mike didn't get this record and the Buccaneers still won, we would all be sitting here saying, you know what? It's not the record that matters. It's the wins. And as long as we're winning, then who cares really about the record? But the truth is, I think a lot of Bucs fans cared about this record almost as much. I've never talked to Mike about it. I don't know how much he really cared about it, but as far as I could tell, it mattered a lot to Bucs fans that Mike got this record. It really did. I know it mattered to me. And the only thing that I hate is the way they went to Mike in that first drive of the game is how they should be going to Mike all the time. It shouldn't take putting Mike over the top on a record where all he needed was 40 yards to get them to go to him in the first drive like they did in today's game. That should have been happening all season long because, as I've continued to say and will always continue to say, I think the game plan for this offense, really, it's Rojo gets 20 touches, Mike Evans gets 10 to 15 targets, and then everybody else gets spread out. And most of that's probably going to go to Godwin, to be honest with you. And that's how this offense runs. That's where this offense is at its best, So, maybe you could even say Godwin gets 10 and then it gets spread out between everybody else.
Antonio Brown gets 10. And then Gronk gets 10. OJ Howard gets 10.
No. Spread out between everybody else.
Well, that's why I was leading in. That's why I was leading in with Chris Godwin, because as sorry as I am to see Mike go down, God, I wish he comes back.
Mm-hmm.
But man, did Godwin step up, and he is still a dangerous weapon out there. And if you can have AB step in there as a number 2, who's playing pretty great. I actually like these little quick passes to him. He's making yards out of it, getting first down. And, the offense is not slowing down. I mean, the only thing that I have a little concern about is on the defensive side. I mean,
right.
I'm never going to apologize for who you play, like other callers say.
Right.
They are professionals, but I have a little concern with the defense because you saw it in the Minnesota game and you saw it in the third quarter here, when the defense can't get off the field and we only get the ball one time in the entire quarter. That's going to be a big concern going into the playoffs when you got better teams that can score a lot more. And if we don't get the ball, that's how they're going to stop our offense, is by not letting us touch it. So I think we have a little concern to, shore up that secondary. I think it shows how much we miss Shaq Barrett, Devin White, and Carlton Davis, Vita Vea.
Yeah.
But we've missed him for a while. But
but think about it, though. But Scott, think about it. Imagine if we'd had Vita all year. Like, think about that.
Great.
You know what I mean? Like, how much of a
playoff?
The defense was much more dominant in the beginning, So in the beginning of the season, the defense was dominant. Then we started. So that would be the only thing I'd be a little concerned about, is the inability to get off the field. And I think a little bit of that is the soft zone. I get not getting plays over the top and keeping it in front of you, but you got to get off the field too, because with this offense clicking, you got to get them the ball. And if you can't get them the ball in the playoffs, that's going to be a concern. But other than that, I mean, this team is rolling. It's great to see. I'm glad Mike got it. I hope he's okay. And I mean, go Bucs.
Yeah.
I mean, what more can you say? Go
Sorry.
Bucs. And I look forward to
I was
playoffs.
reading something. I'm a
Sorry.
bad person.
No,
Yeah,
Scott,
go
you're
Bucs.
you're 100% on that. Sorry, I was waiting for Ren to say something.
Yeah.
And he
No, you know, I think with this,
come off for a second.
yeah, it's with this defense, you know, like they're doing right now, and like I said, like I like it because there's no big plays. It's like they're testing the quarterback's patience, you know, like the sort of like the younger, the more immature quarterback, they're going to force them into mistakes because they're going to want to push the ball down the field because maybe they're behind, or you know. But then again, like Atlanta just kept executing. Like the Bucs come up with the big sack and it's 3rd and 17, like goal, like, you know, and the first down marker's on the 1, and they score a touchdown. It's like, come on, man, like you know, with that happening, and then the Falcons going for a 4th down at 3 different times and getting it every single time. Hell, they went for 4th down twice in the same series of downs. Like they tried to draw them off sides, called the timeout, and went for it anyway. So it's, you know, it's yes, the defense is the part to worry about. But I want this defense that Todd Bowles was rolling out quarter number 1. I want that defense on the field rather than wait till halftime and then get the defense that's actually going to make some stops against these offenses in the playoffs. So that's sort of the trade-off I'm looking at now, and that's what I'll take. And if we have to go out there and outscore everybody, then we have to go out there and outscore everybody.
I like it. All right, Scott, you got anything else for us before we let you go? Get some other people in here?
No, like I said, appreciate what you guys do, and looking forward to the playoffs. Go Bucs.
Go Bucs, Scott. Thanks so much, man. Thank you so much. All right, moving on here. We had Corey from Nashville lining up in the chat room. Corey, are you still there? We went to a black screen. I don't even know if he's still here. All right, Corey, call us back if you are in. Prime is waiting for us, though. He's queued up. Prime, talk to us, buddy.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey, Prime, good to see you.
Hey, likewise, man. Likewise. It's been a few weeks. Hey, Brent, hate to see you go. Understand why. Take care of your family. But I love, like everybody said, man, thank you for putting together this podcast, both of y'all, you know,
You got it, man.
and growing it over the last 4 or 5 years. But I really, really appreciate it, man.
You got it.
I'm sure
You got it.
all Bucs fans think that, man. And so thank you. I'm glad that you get to go out on a playoff run. If we win the Super Bowl, then I think that based on the rules of fans, I think you'd have to come back next year at the end and then retire again just so that we have the same situations and go on
Exactly.
another run.
Brent goes on 1-year contracts until we do not win the Super Bowl.
There you go. There you go.
Exactly.
And then we kick him out for being bad luck. We only got 3. Jesus.
It's the three. It's the triple whammy when they wear white on whites at home. When Brent is the round, and then pick your other one.
Burn the white on whites, man.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey,
There you go. Brian, what's on your mind, man?
Hey, so a couple things, man. So on this last run, is this 4-game win streak and the offense blowing up and everything. I think you said it maybe a previous caller, but I'm of the same mindset that one, you play who you play, but more importantly, winning streaks matter. I don't care if they're against the Atlanta Falcons or if it's against. I mean, we would love for that winning streak to include Kansas City, right? Every fan would love that. But at the end of the day, winning streaks matter. So do losing streaks. There's a reason why Pittsburgh, even though they had already locked up the playoffs, there was panic going around when they lost 3 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yep. Yes, they had won 11 games or 12 games, whatever it was at that time. But these players are human, And if you go on a streak of not being able to close it out, not being able to win, you can't see yourself. You don't see yourself as a team executing when it matters. That stuff carries into the playoffs. You can say it doesn't. People can say, well, no, it doesn't matter. Those other 12 games you won are what matters. But that stuff carries over. Confidence matters. And if you're on a losing streak, that confidence is going to be low. So, I'm not going to be upset. We go into obviously we get to play the NFC East winner, and I'm not going to be mad that it's the NFC East winner versus instead of playing the Saints.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Everybody in the playoffs wants to be the 5th seed right now, except for maybe Green Bay if they end up being the 1 seed. Like, okay, we're the 1 seed, we get everything at home, we get a bye. But if you have to play week 1 of the playoffs, everybody wants to be the 5th seed.
Correct. And so I think sometimes, man, I don't know if it's some people are fans, some people may not be fans, but I think they're truly just overlooking that. And from an offensive standpoint, whoever it was said, "Hey, man, I'm worried about the defense." The way this team is set up, with the firepower we have on the offensive side of the ball, and with the way the offense has looked in the past 3 weeks, AB getting his legs under him, Mike and Tom getting on actually getting in sync for the last 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it comes down to outscoring somebody, I feel very confident. I just looked at the NFC playoff picture. I feel very confident with this team and the way they're clicking now. If they need to outscore a team to win.
Yeah, exactly. It's survive and advance at this point. It's the NCAA tournament. It doesn't matter. And what makes me, I think, fans feel good, and me personally, is it was all about the slow starts, and it was because with the defense was also getting the slow starts. Basically, we talked about it a bunch. Coming up to that bye week during that 4-game stretch with the Bucs at 1-3, then the bye week is like whatever their game plan is, offensive and defensively. When they come out of the gate, it has to be right. Like they can't have it be wrong and then have to fix it midstream. At least not both sides of the ball. Of course, we'd like, at least one of them to work, but it'd be great if it was both of them. And it wasn't happening. And that's why they were getting behind, because offensively they weren't scoring and defensively they weren't stopping anybody. So they kept on getting behind. And then, this 4-game streak happened, and, they didn't get a fast start against Minnesota, but the defense played a little better. They didn't get a fast start against Atlanta, but the defense did play a little better. And then, we had the second half of the Atlanta game, and then we had the whole, Detroit game, and we had this game too. Yeah, but, it's like, well, they were really close. Yeah, they were really close. But again, they were like their fingertips were clutching to the edge of the cliff just to stay in this game. Like, you have to look at like the way they score. Like, we go, it's like boom, 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 boom. Hardly anybody gets tackled. No one gets hit. Every run's for 6 yards. Tom Brady, I don't think he broke a sweat. Like, you see him on the sidelines, he's not even sweating. And then Matt Ryan's out there like 3rd and 4, and he's screaming and he's holding his ribs, and you can see his bra under his shirt, under his jersey. Like, it just wasn't like yes, it was close, but it wasn't that close. So, I mean, the last 4 games, the Bucs did exactly what they needed to do. They needed to win all 4, and they needed to get this offense rolling, and I think they did. And of course, I'd like to be like, oh yeah, the defense shut out all these guys, but in today's NFL, you can't. Like, I think they're a top 10 defense overall. I'm pretty sure they're going to be a top 10 defense in scoring when it's all said and done. So, I mean, how many times we said that these past 5 years? Just give me a top 10 defense and we'll make the playoffs. And here it is, and you got it, and you got the weapons and the rolling, and it just looks easy. Now, again, these are 3 very poor defenses we've played in the past 4 games. But I'll tell you what, like Dallas played, they're not any better. Like Chiefs defense really isn't that good. You know what? The Packers defense, they're really like there's no defense out there that's going to shut this team down. The one that scares me most is the Saints, because the interior defensive line, offensive line matchup just doesn't match up well for us. I can't tell you why. It just, for the past 4 years in a row, the Saints defensive line has manhandled our offensive line. including the 2 games this year. So I don't want it to be true, but until it's not, it is.
True.
And that's the only sort of and I don't fear the Saints defense. I just but if we take care of the ball and, just throw it to whoever Jenkins is covering, because he's going to get 4 pass interference penalties because all he does is grab and hold. I mean, we're in as good a shape in the playoff as any team out there, including the AFC.
No, I agree with that. And the Saints are a really tough matchup for us, specifically, like you said, because of the lines. But here's where I think if we do wind up facing them for the 3rd time, it's not going to be an easy game. But I would actually put my money with the Bucs, and a couple reasons. Looking at the team as a whole, as far as offense, defense, for as much as we talked in the first half of the year, and as far as well as the defense played as well in the first half of the year, this team is built and designed for the offense to actually lead. The defense is opportunistic. So the defense, take even the Chiefs game where we get boat raced in the first quarter. If we have the offense, if we have Antonio Brown in sync, we have Mike Evans in sync, if we have our offense in sync during that game, then it turns into a shootout. And it's just going to turn into whoever can make the last play. Right? The problem with that game was that the offense it wasn't just that we played a stupid freaking defensive scheme. We did, but for the first quarter. But it was that the offense was not in sync. There were plays to be made that Tom Brady was off on. Right?
Yeah, they were there.
Catches that were missed. There were plays that were actually there to be made. So these last 4 weeks, for me, has been about getting the offense in sync so that the plays that are there to be made, because like you said, there is no defense that's a shutout defense. So I don't see a defense in the NFC that can actually shut this offense down, but I have seen this offense shut itself down during the regular season. We just have to limit that going into the playoffs, which these last 4 weeks, if these last 4 weeks are any tell, even though it's against bad defense, it's that Tom Brady has his timing down with his biggest weapons, right? All of his biggest weapons, it seems like he purposefully has been working on getting his timing down. Listen to Tom Brady talking the last week, and when they ask him, or this week rather, and they ask him about, hey, these last 2 games have been amazing. And his honest critique is we haven't had a complete game all season. And he's frustrated, and he's not happy with the performance in Detroit, which is ridiculous. Or the performance against Atlanta even though it's the second half performance, he wants a full game, which I think is why he played the whole game today. But I think with the way we're clicking on offense, I don't see a defense that can keep up with that. Now, there can be offenses that can keep up. And like I said, it's going to come down to which defense, not stops the other offense, but who comes up with the opportunistic plays. Whether it's a strip, an interception, who comes up with that play, that's who's going to win that game.
Prime, I got a question for you.
Go.
You mentioned the plays earlier in the season, plays that were to be had. We're now seeing everything sync up. Moving into this part of the season, into the playoffs, this team is now 16 games deep, not 8 games deep, 10 games deep, 5 games deep.
Right.
They're 16 games deep. That's a whole different ball game at this point.
Right. For
that team. Are you still concerned moving into the playoffs that the timing isn't down and the all that stuff that, while you can't have an excuse for why it didn't work earlier in the season, you do kind of understand, you can kind of go, well, he's a new quarterback. They didn't have the offseason, all that stuff,
Right.
Does that still apply at this point in the season for you?
So no. And I think, let me answer this way. I think as fans, it's legitimate to be concerned about those things, right? When you're week 1 and you get beat by the Saints and all of a sudden Brady doesn't look like Brady and blah, 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 right? The weapons don't seem to be what you thought they would be. And we all said, well, hey, look, man, they just got together. And as a fan, you know that, but you still want to see it, right? Mm-hmm. You still want to see it come together. At this point, I believe we've seen it come together. And at this point, you're in the playoffs, there is no excuse. I don't want to hear anything about you haven't been, your timing is off. I saw what you did to Detroit, right? I saw what you just did today. I saw what you did 3 weeks ago. So the timing is there. So as a fan, I'm looking forward to the playoffs. If you ask me this, even if we had won against the Chiefs, but there were still timing issues and these things were going on, and let's say the record was the same, but the problems were still there, I would be concerned because against a good team, you don't get a bunch of missed touchdowns. You don't get a bunch of 36-yard open men that you just overthrew. You're not going to get a bunch of those. So when it's there, or if it's like the Chiefs, their defense is going to give you those shots, but if you miss them, that offense is going to boat race you.
Yeah.
So
I think the one thing we do have to sort of throw into here is that these past 4 games, Tom Brady hasn't even been breathed on.
Correct.
And that's not going to happen in the playoffs. So, there's going to be some drives where it's going to be a struggle for Tom to stay upright. So that's sort of where this offense has had its hiccups, getting back on track, and keeping these drives going. But
can we talk about that just for a second?
Sure.
You just said Brady hasn't even been breathed on in these last 4 games. There's been a handful of sacks, but you're right. It's not been much.
No.
Can we talk about how well this offensive line has been playing in the last half of this season?
Sure. They've been playing great.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to jump and sort of like pat him on the back because, they have like Brady's pockets today. Most of them were like, he rolled out he scrambled for fuck's sakes at one point through a touchdown pass. Like there's no one near the guy, right. But it's going to change very quickly. Like if we have to play the Saints, it's going to change. If we play Washington, it's definitely going to change. Like, Washington just can't score. That's why we're going to win. But so it's, I guess, the next evolution in this offense, something that I haven't seen that, is going to be like, well, why aren't you going to win the Super Bowl? It's if they can't keep Brady clean enough during the playoffs. And, that's it. Like the defense, I've conceded to the point that like we may have to outscore everybody. We just may have to do that. But if we can't keep Brady consistently clean, then I haven't seen us be able to win that way yet.
Here's a question to that, to like Brent. I think this applies with the offensive line. The offensive line has played really great in the last half of the season. So what's also changed, especially post-bye, I don't give a crap what BA says, is the play calling. And when everybody kept complaining about the lack of play action or little play action, complaining about motion, and there were actual legit problems with that. We've actually seen in the last 4 or 5 weeks the team trend one more thing. Also, the passing on first down instead of running on first down, which we should do more passing on first down. The team has drastically gone towards the analytics side of things, as far as in passing on more first downs and using motion to help Tom Brady, using play action. So with those things, all 3 of those things will help the offensive line. If AB looks like what AB has looked like in the last 2 weeks, meaning him and Tom Brady are in sync, and AB had, I believe, 11 catches for like $120 or something. AB and Godwin will be your short, quick passes to stop the pass rush, to beat the rush. What we didn't have in the previous Saints games is we did not have that. Like some of the plays just weren't there because they weren't called, but some plays were there and we were just off. So is the Saints D-line nice? It really is. But I do believe with some of the changes that we've made in the past 4 weeks, through our process and through the players in sync, I like our chances against a pass rush. Not just to be able to sit back there for 4 seconds and keep Brady clean, but to actually coach smarter football.
Yeah, nothing was more evident than that first Atlanta game where Atlanta kept bringing pressure up the middle, and they came out at halftime and said, "Oh, you're going to show pressure up the middle?" That's exactly what they do. They threw it outside to Godwin. They threw it outside to Scotty Miller. They threw it outside to Antonio Brown, and they've been doing it ever since. Anytime Brady's like, "Okay, I see a blitz coming," like he just fires it out there, and it's one thing to have a player like Mike, who now for finally this year he clicks in his head that he's not going to go down. Like for the first 5 years he'd go down, then like the past 2 years he'd like start to go down and go, "Oh yeah, I'm supposed to try to get yards," And then, but this year, half of the second half of the year, he gets the ball and now he's trying really hard. He's just not any good at it. But, maybe that will come later. You get Antonio Brown in space. You saw it today and you've seen it throughout his career. Like, you give him 1 yard cushion, he's going to make that cornerback miss. And he's going to pick up anywhere from 4 to 15 yards. And, it was something like 3rd and 4, makes cornerback miss, picks up the first down, but then he picked up another 10, 12 yards on the sideline. And it's like, those are the plays that the Bucs have never had. Never.
And imagine the Saints. So imagine the Saints or any team, if you want to show blitz or if you want to blitz, and Antonio Brown, either Antonio Brown or Chris Godwin is being covered by your third best cover guy, right? And if Antonio Brown / Chris Godwin is in sync with Tom Brady, have fun actually guarding that.
Yeah.
Like, have fun guarding Antonio Brown on a 3 yard or 4 yard catch. Like you said, he can turn into a 22-yard game.
Yeah.
Eventually, you will make the team back off. Like, you will make that team back off because they're getting killed on the slants and the short outs. You know what I mean?
And that's a chess match. And then you run Ronald Jones.
And one last thing, we need to make those changes before halftime.
Or have them, or you know what? Have them ready right when the ball's kicked.
That is a novel idea. That is a very novel idea that I don't think.
Let's have a game plan that works.
I don't know if they know that's allowed, but somebody needs to let them know it is. Right?
Yeah. Right, Prime. I give you one more thing. We got some other people lining up in the chat here.
All right. Last thing, man. Honestly, last thing, Brent. We win next week. Hopefully, you and I get to talk here for 4 more times. But thank y'all. I appreciate it, man. Appreciate always being able to come on. And appreciate y'all creating this space for Bucs fans, man. Go Bucs.
Got it, man. Go Bucs. Go Bucs.
Go
Thanks,
Bucs.
Prime.
Later.
I know. Prime. Good stuff. Good stuff as always. And I agree with a lot of what was being said in the chat regarding that. I'll let you guys go back and check that out. If you guys are listening out there on the podcast feed later, want to find out, go over to youtube.com and replay the chat. You'll see what I'm talking about.
Getting a lot of prime for your seat to take over, or from whatever. Like,
yeah,
a lot of prime to be the next my co-host for the PewterCast.
It depends on what you want to do. I don't even know if you're going to have a co-host.
I may not. Plus, it's hard for Prime to get away from his wife on Sundays.
Listen, I understand. I really understand. Let's bring in Corey.
Corey, thanks for waiting, buddy.
What's up, guys?
How are you, man?
What's up? Happy Sunday. Happy Victory Sunday.
There you go.
I'll be quick. I just was looking at, because we clinched last week, so it's only so much I can watch this game and talk about. So I looked at it from a micro standpoint to make it more macro. Like, for example, I was looking at our defense.
Yeah.
The front and the secondary, to like you, and I heard you talking earlier, Rand, about, I think we pretty much, I don't want to say we play cover 2, but it was bend don't break, which I was perfect. I am, especially if Devin White can play, I am perfectly okay with bend don't break because he and Levante are such secure tacklers. And I never understood why that. And I get because Todd Bowles has a system, and as a coach, coach have their bravado, their pride, and they want to win. They want to win their way. So I always felt like, just looking at how this team was built with stopping the run, and I always felt we should have been a 2-high team. And it looked like this is what we did a lot of today. And that was fun. And we blitzed when necessary. We got pressure with the front. Anthony Nelson looked pretty good today on a couple of rushes. He was really encouraged.
He looked fine.
He got good pressure out there. It looked like he was back at Iowa. It was Iowa, right? Yeah, he was back at Iowa. But so that's what I was looking at today, and I was encouraged moving forward because I think we're going to get a lackluster offensive team next week, regardless of how good their defenses play. And I think it's going to be Washington. That's just what I think. I could be wrong. I mean, the Giants played inspired today.
Corey, let me ask you this. Corey, let me ask you this. Moving forward through the playoffs, all right, we got 4 games potentially in order, and I know it could change depending on how everything goes. Who do you think the 4 teams are in what order? You said Washington is who you think's up first. Who are the next 3?
It's going to be Washington, then Seattle, and I'm gonna go with Green Bay. I think they're a more complete team than
Saints get knocked out earlier.
bro. I think the Saints losing next week. I'm not gonna play with y'all.
Nice.
I think they're losing next week.
And then
If
the Super Bowl.
I don't
the Bucs
think.
facing in the Super Bowl.
I definitely got Packers Bills in the Super Bowl.
No. You got the Bucs.
Oh, I got to put it. So Bucs Bills.
Wrong
Bucs
show.
Bills. Bucs Bills.
Come on, Corey. Come on.
Oh, well, Corey's been disconnected. What do you know? And blocked.
No, look. Because I want Brent to last longer. Definitely Bucs Bills.
Okay.
I don't want next week to be his last show. I don't want the week after and the week after that. I want us to be celebrating the whole week leading up to the Super Bowl. We'll feed each other's name because we'll be so plastered talking about the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like that's what I want. So let's Bucs and Bills. I think the Bills are the most complete team in the AFC. I think let's say hypothetically we played them in the Super Bowl. I really think it's a bad matchup for them, honestly. Just because of how they're built. But yeah, we're gonna beat Washington. We're gonna beat Seattle. And I just think no team wants to play us right now. And I'm not just being a fan when I say that.
Yeah.
And I'm not and you know, we talked about this right at the bye week when we said, guys, if we win these next 4 games the way I think we should win them, showing the continuity. Look, the Jets just won 2 games in a row. All right.
Mhm.
You had teams like Detroit. Look at Detroit today. Look at Minnesota scoring 30 plus. Look at Detroit almost pulling out that game. So Atlanta last week, you know what I mean? So I don't want to hear anything about
had him beat.
The
guy had the ball in his hands, in his tummy.
It was
and then he landed on the ground and he just
Yeah, it was Atlanta.
Didn't the Falcons actually lose one time by scoring?
Detroit.
Yeah.
Detroit. They lost because they scored.
Yeah, they scored and gave Detroit too much time. Yeah.
But so I don't
remember when they watched remember when they watched the onside kick against Dallas? They all just stood there and watched it.
But you know what? They're probably going to get Zach Wilson or Justin Fields, so that would be good for them.
I saw Trevor Sikkema tweeted out. I think they've locked up the number 3 pick.
Well, no, because I think if Houston loses, then Miami gets that pick.
Yeah,
which is crazy. Miami's going to win 10 games and get the top 3 pick. What GM skills are those down there? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Okay. To be fair, here's what Trevor said was after the 1:00 game. This is where they stand. So not necessarily locked up.
Yeah. So because Houston's playing now, so if Houston wins, then Atlanta gets 3, and they'll probably get Zach Wilson because after this past weekend, I think Justin Fields showed he's the number 2. He's the number 2 quarterback coming out. So, so that worked out for the Jets. Honestly, it might.
Like who?
but anyway, back to the Bucs.
Yeah.
So I don't care about what people say about, oh, you played the Falcons twice, but I don't care about that because first of all, we all know what division games are like. The fact that we half of our remaining games were against a division opponent, that's huge to me. That shows preparation. Scoring 44 points today shows preparation. There was some lulls in that game, and I think a lot of energy got sucked out of us when we saw how nasty Mike Evans' injury looked. Knocking on wood for that. And I think that, that takes cells out of your wind out of your cells. You know what I mean? Like even if it was just for the rest of the first half, which we didn't finish a couple drives that we should have. And then we came back in the second half defensively and they scored. And then we started playing, and then we just played better, pulled away in the fourth quarter, which I was never worried about that game. It's just a division game that can go either dang on way. So going 4-0 in this last quarter of the season is absolutely huge. Because we proved that we are not the team you want to play. Like I'm sorry, I think that's what we proved. I think if we do play Washington, look, everybody's gonna say, well, if you smell on Tom Brady, you get close to him. Dude, that's every damn quarterback. I'm so sick of that narrative about if you get pressure on, that's every damn quarterback. I don't care who you are. If you get consistent pressure on a quarterback, he's not going to throw for 400 yards, 4 TD. He's going to get rattled. He's going to have to move off his spots. That's just what it is. And that's football. That's football. It is what it is. So I think we're the hottest team going into this postseason run. And like I said, the football team offense, it just doesn't pose their defense is really good. And Prime made some really good points. Some things that I think we're going to do that we didn't do against good pass rushers, and we'll use AB in the quick passing game and Godwin. AB, man, he looked like he missed a step.
I mean, look, AB did what Gronk did, right?
Right.
Like they both had like a whole season off, right? Or
Right.
close to it. It took him a few games to
They
get
look
into
good today.
you know, and
Last
he's
few weeks he looks
looking
good.
good.
Yeah.
You know, very obvious that at the end, and instead of worrying about Rojo's 1,000 yards, they were worried about AB kicking a bonus. And force those. Remember those like last 3 passes to him,
Right.
like where like those got him into like they kicked in a $250,000 starter, which $250,000 was $250,000. So
Right. What you mean? Especially for somebody like him that's been sitting at home.
Yeah, exactly.
But
So,
I,
all right, Corey, you got anything else for us before I let you go, buddy?
Nah, man, go Bucs, man. I'll be calling you next week, the week after that, and then we'll be drunk on Super Bowl week, right?
There you go. Let's do it, Corey.
All
It
right,
all
man.
planned out.
I love it. Thanks, Corey. Oh, hit
Thanks,
that button
Corey.
a little too soon. Sorry, Corey. Corey's become one of my favorite callers too. He really has.
Really?
He has, because Corey comes in. He's usually got good things to say.
Yeah, I
And,
like Corey. He's on like every podcast.
Like not just ours. Like
Yeah,
everyone.
he's a super fan.
There's a lot of people out there that do that, and that's cool. Just everybody knows where to come first. That's all I'm saying.
Because we go first, but okay.
Rand, you know, and I know that has been our mantra, our operating mantra.
That has been
4
like
years.
the company line. That's
We
that.
go first.
We go first. Like, don't matter. Doesn't matter if you're right. Just get it out there.
All right, final talker of the night, final caller of the night, Flex.
Hey,
What's
Black,
going on, brothers? PewterCast.
Let's do it, brother. Yeah, you got some. You coming in after Prime and Corey and Scott and Big Fudge and Marco.
They all did
Hey,
great,
honestly,
man. It was
like, I
great
don't
to
know
hear
that
from
they've
Prime.
left a whole lot for you to talk about.
It was
up,
great to hear from Prime, but I did have one thing I wanted to talk about real quick that
Yeah.
nobody mentioned is at one point in the game, man, the announcers, the Atlanta had the ball and the announcers were talking about, oh, this team is just on the cusp. They got all the talent. They've been coming so close every week, and it means that they're somebody great. They just can't piece it together, and that's what they used to say about our Bucs.
Yeah.
And here we are taking care of business, winning games that we're supposed to win, doing what we're supposed to do, getting the 5th seed. Let's go. This is what I'm talking about. I don't know how y'all feel, but I'm hyped up right now.
I love that you're hype for the 5th seed.
Hey, it don't matter because guess what? Right now, New Orleans is playing. What are they playing to have the same record as us? Oh no, if they're playing to have a better record than us. If they lose to the Panthers, they got the same record as we do. So
right, they just own the tiebreaker, so that's why they get the division. That's it. That's the only reason why.
It is, and a lot of people said it wasn't fair that we had to play them at the beginning of the season. Hey, we're professionals; they're professionals. You got to win your games and everything like that. But I thought that was just great to hear them saying that about another team. And for once, it isn't the Bucs, but as well, I thought that tight end fumble that they challenged on. Man, I really thought that was the same exact play that happened to Rojo against the Giants. Is it not? I mean, he caught the ball, he secured it, and he hit contact just like Rojo did, and 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other, right?
I think that was
or even the Vaughn fumble.
Yeah. I see what they're talking about when they go through it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree. I just didn't agree with that call at all. I don't agree with the call. And it's not, I don't even, I don't know. I just, I don't know if it was the same play or not, but that particular one in this game,
I'm with you. Like, I think in the letter of the rule, it wasn't a catch, as in 2 feet down, football move, have the time. But in the spirit of the rule, it was a catch. The only reason that it wasn't a catch is because Winfield hit him 6 inches too early. Like, he was going to fumble that ball, no matter. It was just, and it wasn't like he caught the ball and got popped and never saw the guy. I mean, he got the ball, he turned, he saw the guy, he tucked it away, took a step, took another step, and then went down to brace for the hit. But since that move wasn't enough to actually be a football move, if Winfield got there too fast, that's why he dropped it.
I think what
that's why it wasn't.
My 8-year-old pointed this out because, like, here's what I saw. I saw 1 foot go down, I saw a football move, and I saw the 2nd foot come down.
Me too.
Right?
Yeah, that's what happened.
That's the 3 things. And I was trying to explain.
But it's got to be in order.
It's got to be in order. That was my 8-year-old went, he got all 3. Why does it have to, who cares what order it's in?
Yeah. So if you catch the ball, and like say I run a button hook, right?
Yeah.
And Brady hits me right in the numbers, and I catch the ball and I just stand there. Can I just drop it? And like if I catch it and hold it for like 5, 6, 7 seconds and then drop it, it's not a catch because I didn't make a football move.
Standing there isn't a football move.
I didn't make a football move.
Or you make the catch, but you only have 1 foot off the ground.
There you go. It never comes back down.
You do all that stuff, but only 1 foot. Like you just got 1 foot hanging in the air. It doesn't count because it's got to be 2 feet down first and then a football move.
And they might break your leg if you try that, Brent. They might break your leg if you try that.
And what about people? What about receivers that one-legged receivers that want to have a future in professional football?
It's ableism.
Yeah,
that's true. And props to Mike Evans on those 1,000-yard seasons. And just like you said earlier, Brent, I'm right there with you. I was one of those fans where that record meant just about as much as winning this game. It was right neck and neck for me because I wanted some respect. And you know what really made me happy is I was reading this article that was talking about Tyreek Hill, and he started naming the best wide receivers in the NFL, excluding himself. And he listed Mike Evans number 1 on his list. And you know what? Hey, that means Mike Evans is getting respect from because Tyreek is arguably the best. And so if one of the best is calling you the number 1 in the league, I mean, that felt good. That felt good too, right? But
yeah, that's something that I think when we first started this pod, Brent, it was something that we really wanted. Was like not for the pod, but for Bucs fans, just get some national respect. Sure. Players getting passed over for the Pro Bowl and like year after year, and then some guys not making All Pro, and then never get any primetime games, and always getting the crappy referees, and then our fan base doesn't know anything because we never win. But now that it's here, like I don't give a shit about the freaking Pro Bowl. Like I don't. I was thinking today where I'm watching this game, and we're sort of boat racing Atlanta early, and this is before it was right before they scored at halftime, and then before we only got the ball one time in the third quarter. I'm watching this. I'm going this team, and I'm running through the other teams in my head and their offensive, defensive. I'm like we have a really good shot. We're just as good as anybody else in the dance right now. We can make the Super Bowl.
Hell yeah.
And then I'm thinking we won the Super Bowl. And then I look and I think and I go, and they have 1 Pro Bowler. That's a fucking joke.
Hey, the Panthers didn't get a single one. I loved it.
Yeah. I mean, Kyler Murray really over Tom Brady. His team, he has to win today or he doesn't even get in the playoffs.
I don't think his legs are as long as his arms. So, I mean, there's that.
That's true and weird. Yeah.
I just have one question though. Oh, go ahead.
I wanted to comment on what you said at the beginning, but I can't remember what it was. When you came on, you're all hyped up.
Oh, the fact that the announcers were talking about, they were saying Atlanta's such a good team.
Yeah. I've noticed that a lot on being on other podcasts, during the week, like, oh, we're playing Atlanta. Hey, Ren, can you come on and talk with us about this, that, and all that other stuff? It's like looking at the Panthers and I go, that's the Bucs a few years ago. Or looking, at the Falcons going like, yeah, you got a lot of talent, you put up some points, but your defense stinks and you're gonna get something's gonna happen to lose a game. Yeah, that's the Bucs a few years ago. Or when Minnesota came to town and, they got a good coach and they got a lot of pieces, but the kicker loses the game for them. Like, yeah, that was the Bucs a few years ago. Like and you start to realize that these are the things that make good teams from bad teams. Like from 7-9 and 9-7, that is about 50% of the league. Then you got teams that are going to be somewhere at 11 and higher. And then you got a couple of teams that are going to win somewhere like 4-3 to 2-1 games. But 7-9 and 9-7 is all about, that one field goal or that bad defense or, not getting the refs or whatever it is. It's always those handful of plays. And until your team's good enough not to depend on that, I don't need every break to go my way to beat the better teams in the NFL, and that's where we're at now. So yeah, I mean, I see a lot of what the Bucs used to be in these teams that we play that are below 500. And it's like, yep, I remember being there, man.
It's like, how bad do you want it? And I think that Tom Brady really, I've never seen somebody in their early 40s want something as bad as Tom Brady wants to win.
Yeah.
I mean, he'd beat himself up in a blowout if he missed the throw. He just wants to win so bad. I've never seen somebody his age, and imagine what that must do for everybody else around him. Like, man, this guy is twice my age. Some of these rookies, he's double my age, and he wants to win worse than I do. That's crazy. So I just did have one question for y'all, though. I need your help. So
Sure.
So we got Washington.
As long as this isn't a question about wings and blue cheese and ranch.
No, definitely not. No. I get the reference though. So we know that the Giants won, and we know that Washington plays later, and Washington controls their own fate.
Right.
Who do y'all want? Do you want Washington or do you want the Giants? Because I want to root with y'all. So whoever y'all pick, I'm gonna go with them. You know, are we pulling for Washington or nah?
Brent.
I've said this before, and I will continue to say it. I'm a fan of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which means I don't really watch a whole lot of other teams very often. I struggle just to do what I do here. That being said, we played the Giants earlier this year. Memory serves, we handled them pretty solidly. I really don't know much about the Washington football team, except from what I've heard, they have been coming on strong lately. So I think I'd rather go against the Giants, to be honest with you, considering we've we've already handled business with them once this year. So that's where I would lean now, but I could certainly be convinced by somebody who's actually been watching these teams over the course of the season.
I want to play Washington. Here's why. We played the Giants, and I think that I was shocked about how their offensive line sort of muscled us around. I think we got out physical by the team offensively and defensively, to be the truth. We got out of their skin of our teeth. Daniel Jones missed some wide open guys, which could have made the game very, very different. I think we're a better team. I kind of think they're a worse team. I think the Giants quarterback throws more turnovers, or it's going to turn the ball over more than the Redskins quarterback, but the Redskins can't score. Like, they just can't score. Like, they've got two players on offense and a guy who likes to check the ball down. I know it's going to be much harder, supposedly, to put some points up against this Washington football team. So don't, expect like a 40-14 boat race, but like, Washington's not going to score 24 points. Like, they're just not, so that's that. And I would rather play in Virginia than play in New Jersey, weather-wise. I just really would. Even though it might be like one of it's 72 here in Jersey and it's snowing in Virginia. Yeah, but it's a shorter plane trip. They're both in the same time zone, because that doesn't really matter. But yeah, I'd just rather play Washington. I really don't fear either of them, but I just didn't like how the Giants' offensive line kind of pushed us around, and their defensive line got to Brady, and their offensive line was not in good shape. It was kind of that stretch where it's like we're playing all these offensive lines that had these replacement players and guys that hadn't played before, or like they're missing two of their three best offensive linemen, and we were starting getting the quarterback. It was that run of the season. So yeah, I'm like, honestly, either way, I really don't like, but I want Washington. But
you sold me on that weather point. I hadn't even really thought about that. That's a good one. I think I might be pulling against them, but I'll get out of here, man. I know it's been a long podcast and everything like that, but I just wanted to give my skull to Russ Cockrell. I mean, I know you're a backup and everything, man, but god dang, he was getting smoke checked out there. Nah, man, that's not how we do it. Made me miss Carlton Davis even worse. And man, my sword's got to go to the O-line, man. I know Ren didn't want to get too high on him, but when I watched that game, the best unit I saw on that field was the O-line. They opened up holes for Rojo. They allowed Brady the time he needed to really dissect the defense. I think they deserve the praise, man, and I'm gonna give it to them, man. Sword goes out to the O-line, man. So once again, thank y'all for everything y'all do, man. I really appreciate y'all having me on.
I like it, Plex. I like it.
We'll definitely anytime
talk to you on a future week here at the PewterCast, because we've got more weeks coming in to do this. Well, that actually is a great transition as we close out the show, Ren.
Yes.
For our skulls and our swords. I don't want to forget this one this week.
Yeah, I forgot last week too.
Did you forget last week?
Yeah, I did. I was like, okay, see you guys later. Click. I looked at chat and someone's like, my skull is. I was like, damn it.
See, it's not as easy as it looks.
No, I've definitely learned that I'm gonna have to write down sort of an outline of things that I have to talk about. Like I can't
Yep.
forget. That's something
And
I definitely will have to do.
especially when it's just you.
Yeah.
So, anyway, with that, skulls and swords, guys, go ahead and drop those in the chat room or read those out here.
Oh.
Just as a reminder, the sword is the good one. Who is your team MVP for the game? And then the skull. Who's your numbskull? Who's the guy that you just want to thunk in a skull for a play or two or the whole game of this particular game? Red, I'll toss it to you first. Who gets your sword? Who gets your skull?
There's lots of people that can get swords in this game, right? But there's somebody who just broke didn't just break it, but owns the Buccaneers record for most touchdowns in a season at 40. Which by the way is like it's his third highest ever in his life.
I think it's a second. He's only the second quarterback in the history of the NFL, alongside with Peyton Manning, to throw for 40 plus touchdowns in a regular season with two separate teams.
Yeah. So I mean, I've found ways. It's kind of like who's the MVP? Well, obviously it's LeBron, but I'm giving it to somebody else.
I think it's really nice you're giving your sword to Blaine Gabbert.
Okay, so it's with so much of excellence and they're always being the best person. It's real easy to kind of write them off and go, well, yes, he deserved it, but this person never gets a lot of love, so I'll give it to this person. I think I've done that all year with Brady, so he is definitely getting my sword. And let's see, there was somebody in chat who stole mine. Oh yes, I'm so bad at names. Amazement. There you go. I'm like amazement or amazement, whatever. The turf. I was gonna give it to the field crew. I mean, it's probably not their fault, but a lot of guys were slipping and sliding. Mike Evans hyperextended his knee. At least that's what we think it is right now. But and it might not be their fault, but why is it so damn wet? You could have covered the field last night after the game, or maybe you couldn't because you had to replace all the turf. I don't know what they did. I'm
replace the turf. You could still see the Outback Bowl logo underneath the Buccaneers logo.
Right, but there's some pieces they might change the end zone or there's some, if it's not, you don't have to change all of the turf. But yeah, I was a little surprised by that. Like you couldn't have took the extra 5 minutes to spray paint the Outback logo green, just make that whole block green and then paint the Buccaneer symbol. But whatever. So yeah, so now they're getting it for two reasons. One, you hurt Mike Evans with your crappy watering job or oversaturation job. Or lack of tarp job. And two,
we're hear about it, but somebody needs to answer for that.
And two, where's the green paint? The Outback Bowl symbol logo, 50-yard line, crappy crap. This isn't the 80s. We're not playing the Astrodome. Right. Earl Campbell goes down at second base. No, it's not what happens. Let's get it together.
Right. I'm with you on that. As far as sword and skulls for me, I already mentioned earlier in the show, and I'm going to stick with it. My sword is going to Chris Godwin. I mean, Chris Godwin was just lights out. Everything his way. He had his hand on. Even the ones where he got thrown out of bounds, he still caught it, and then turned around and looked at the ref and went, "I was out. Okay, fine." And he's just smiling the whole time. So Chris Godwin gets it. You said earlier this year that this offense runs through Chris Godwin, and it's a thing for sure. I love watching Chris Godwin, especially loved him today. My skull. I always try not to do something like give it to the coach or give it to some weird third party like the turf or the field crew or something
easy.
Like that. Do what?
I said easy.
No, I'm just saying I try not to. I think I have before. I'm just saying I try not to. But I don't know that I have one from this game.
You give it to Greg Jennings, your new favorite announcer.
Yes, that's who I'm giving it to, Greg Jennings. Okay. Because he was horrible. Chris Myers was fine. Greg Jennings was the bane of this game for me.
And his name is.
Oh my gosh. I first wrote my tweet and I put Ken Jennings and I was like, wait, that's not right. Chris Jennings is that guy from Jeopardy, or Ken Jennings. I'm sorry, is the guy from Jeopardy that won a bunch and he's been filling in for Alex Trebek. I was like, that's.
Oh, has he been?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so let's hear some people over in the chat. Big Fudge earlier says Chris Godwin's gets his sword and the skull was to SMB. Even though he had a key fumble recovery, He still missed a tackle on that long Brian Hill run, along with some other plays. G Vegas said his goes to AB, Skull goes to Dean, giving up plays and a bad penalty. That's fair. We already talked about amazement. Sword for Mentor stepping in for White with 9 tackles.
Yeah.
Matthew Hall from UK Bucs. The only thing I'd say about that is Mentor also missed a few.
Yeah. I wanted to be like, like when Minter stepped in last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was last year.
We're like, hey,
keep the train rolling. But this year you could be like, yeah, he's not Devin White.
No, he's not. For as much crap as you've given Devin White this year, Red,
because he can't cover.
Right, but it's not Devin White, right?
Yeah, well, it's the Donovan Smith thing.
Sure. Oh, by the way, speaking of throws, did you see the one that Donovan Smith laid on one of those cats today?
Nope.
Full on hip tossed him like he's freaking Khalil Mack hip tossed from Vita Vea or somebody. Oh my god. Anyway, Sword. Joey says Sword goes to Godwin. Skull goes to Scotty Miller. Joey, why Scotty?
I guess the fumble.
Maybe the fumble. Yeah. Skull goes to the turf from MNS. Skull goes to Atlanta for the bad defense. That's from No Saint. By the way, a quick shout out to No Saint. No Saint is not a Bucs fan. He is somebody who comes in, or she, I'm actually not sure which one. This person is somebody who has been in several shows over the course of this year and actually is somebody who does it right. Somebody who comes in and engages and
playful jabs.
Yeah, playful jabs, and all of that's fine, but never makes it.
Yeah,
never makes it personal.
You guys are all POSs. You don't deserve this. And like, okay, buddy.
Final super chat of the show comes from Amazement 717. Thank you so much.
Emma Zement says 717.
Rendax gives Brent the Pewter franchise tag to keep him around for another season. Thanks. I'm not sure that I would sign that tag. I'm just saying. You don't have to sign a franchise tag, do you, Ren? It's either you do.
No, but then you can't pod.
You can't go anywhere else. I can't pod anywhere else unless I sign with you. That's what.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Let's see here.
No Star Trek pods. No brony pods. I know how you like that.
Brony pods.
Oh, act like you don't know what it is.
Okay. Anyway, Courtney.
Do you not know what that is, really?
I have no idea.
Guys that like My Little Pony. Bronies.
I've never heard of that all, and I do.
Sure, Brent. Okay.
Yeah,
that's exactly what a brony would say.
I am strictly a puppy dog pals guy right now. Just letting you know. Bluey's great, by the way, too. Sword, no question, goes to AB, and Skull goes to Dean from Courtney. I like Dean. I could see that certainly going to Dean. There was a few times Dean, I was like, what are you doing? Please play better because I liked you so much earlier. Second touchdown from AB might have been for Scooter. That's from Buck the World. Oh, sorry, not a thing.
It was the first one. Yeah, AB's first touchdown. He didn't get treated.
Godwin gets the skull and the sword, and Mentor gets the skull. And England Paris says Brady for the sword, agreeing with you there, Ren, and the skull goes to Dean.
Yeah, pretty fair.
And No Saint says that the Brony reference was awesome.
Yes, well.
All right, Ren. Well, that is going to do it for us for today. A quick shout out to everybody who gave in super chats today. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for that. That certainly helps keep things moving around here. I gotta check that YouTube thing and figure out exactly what's going on over there. I haven't done that in a while. Ren,
YouTube owes me money. I gotta go look at that.
Tell it to cash out, I think is how it works. Anyway, Ren, we'll be back this week.
Yes.
This is for the very first time on this show. We are entering into a playoff week.
Yes.
I've never done it before. I assume the schedule is pretty much going to go the way it has always, but we'll find out when the game is going to be played, whether it's Saturday or Sunday. We're not really sure what. But as far as everything, we'll keep rolling. We'll keep this train trucking all through the offseason for as long as the Buccaneers keep winning. And in three, you guys be on the lookout for PewterCast Awards. That is coming up, especially now that the season is over. Ren, let the folks out there know where they can get in touch with you this week on the internet.
Best place to find me is on Twitter at Rendax, REN_DXT. I'm always down to talk Buccaneers football, but if you think your take's too hot and don't want to put it out on the Twitter sphere, slide in my DMs. We talk Buccaneers football there as well, too.
That was one of the most dramatic things I've ever seen you do in my life. Please, if you're just listening to this, go check that out on the YouTube feed at about the 1 hour and 39 minute mark. Right there.
I need a nap. That took a lot out of me.
If you guys want to get in touch with me, find me at Brent Allen Live across all the social medias. And please, if you enjoy interacting with the PewterCast on Twitter, that's me. So come find me over at Brent Allen Live and keep interacting with me over there. The show, though, is
Brony Talk.
There you go. The show is at the PewterCast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can email us to thepewtercast@gmail.com. Find us on the web at thepewtercast.live. We'll be back later on this week. And for now, thanks to everybody out there in the chat room, everybody listening around the world. Go Bucs.